Data indicates radon is a major problem in North Dakota homes. The state ranks high in radon exposure compared to other states. The state radon coordinator says uranium found in North Dakota soil is the main reason for high radon exposure rates in the state. Radon exposure can lead to health issues such as lung cancer. An assistant Cass County state's attorney who specializes in child welfare now wants to serve as a judge.
And so I think, the experience and the personality, hopefully, to serve well in this position. So I'm excited, and I hear a lot of good things, and I hope I have the opportunity to serve the people.
Connie Cleveland has been a prosecutor since 1989. She served the Cass County State's Attorney's Office in 91 after serving a similar position in Burleigh County. In the June primary, Cleveland captured 41% of the vote. In the November election, she's running against West Fargo attorney David Chapman. The winner will replace Judge Stephen Marquardt, who is not seeking re-election. And nearly 36 people are now part of the 65th class of the Minnesota State Patrol Trooper Academy. A graduation ceremony for the cadets was held yesterday. The cadets completed a 14-week course at Camp Ripley and will move on to field training before beginning solo patrols in January. The graduating cadets have backgrounds in law enforcement, military, healthcare, real estate, sales, and in finance. This is Ty Schonert with The Flag and AM 1100theflag.com. First at the news when you need to know.
Think about it. Minnesota collected way more from taxpayers than it needs, resulting in the largest budget surplus in history. It's time to give it back. Think about it. State spending is at an all-time high. The rainy day fund is full, and our income tax rates are the 6th highest in the country. Hey, Governor Walz, it's our surplus. Give it back. Think About It is brought to you by Center of the American Experiment, Minnesota's think tank.
The White House doesn't like what Iran and Russia are doing. Lisa Brady, Fox News.
Our message to Iran is very, very clear. Stop killing your people and stop sending weapons to Russia to kill Ukrainians.
Spokeswoman Karine Jean-Pierre says there's concern Russia may be advising Iran on how to manage recent protests over the death of a woman in police custody. This after the U.S. recently announced evidence Tehran is helping Russia to use Iranian-made drones to attack Ukrainian cities. Earlier today, the U.S. announcing more sanctions on Iranian officials over the treatment of protesters. Georgia Senate candidate Herschel Walker, who's running as an anti-abortion Republican, now faces a second allegation of encouraging and paying for a woman to have an abortion.
Herschel Walker says he is against women having abortions, but he pressured me to have one.
Jane Doe, as she's being called, holding a Zoom call with reporters and an attorney today, less than 2 weeks to the midterm elections. Her allegation dates back to 1993 and is similar to a claim Walker has vehemently denied, made by a woman who had a son with him 2 years after she says he paid for an abortion. Walker's in a tight race with Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock. The chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee is under federal investigation.
New Jersey Democrat Bob Menendez acknowledges he's under an investigation by the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, but an advisor to the senator says he does not know the scope of the investigation. The statement goes on to say Menendez is available to provide any assistance requested to him or his office. Menendez was indicted in 2015 along with a Florida eye doctor on corruption charges. He pleaded not guilty and charges were dropped after a jury failed to reach a verdict.
Fox's Jared Halpern, the suspect in the attempted assassination of Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh, appearing in federal court today. The judge says he's likely to order a mental evaluation. America's listening to Fox News.
You've got advanced prostate cancer, but you're not waiting around. You want straight talk, the facts about Orgovix.
Orgovix Relagolix 120 milligram prescription tablets is a treatment for adults with advanced prostate cancer. Fact, Orgovix is a different kind of androgen deprivation therapy treatment, a pill, not an injection. Orgovix may cause serious side effects, including a heart condition called QT prolongation. Tell your doctor right away if you feel dizzy, faint, have a racing or pounding heart, or chest pain. Orgovix can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during treatment and for 2 weeks after Orgovix treatment. The most common side effects include hot flushes, increased blood sugar and blood fat levels, muscle and joint pain, decreased blood hemoglobin levels, increased liver enzymes, tiredness, constipation, and diarrhea. Other side effects include weight gain, decreased sex drive, and erectile function problems. Orgovix may cause infertility. Talk to your doctor if infertility is a concern for you.
Go with Orgovix. Ask your doctor. For more facts, visit gowiththefacts.com.
partly cloudy this evening with wind out of the south around 5 to 10 miles an hour. We'll hang on to that light breeze throughout tonight with a low of 35. And partly cloudy skies continue into your Thursday, but clouds will increase throughout the afternoon. An isolated shower can't be ruled out, but mainly south of I-94 with high temperatures in the mid and upper 50s. We'll have a southwest wind on Thursday gusting up to 30. Lighter wind, but still breezy for Friday. Mostly sunny with highs in the lower 60s. From the Flag Skywatch Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Justin Storm.
Today's weather is brought to you by Summit Carbon Solutions. The ethanol industry is critical for the North Dakota economy and our farmers. Summit Carbon Solutions is opening new economic opportunities for ethanol producers and helping maintain a strong market for corn growers while generating millions of dollars in new property taxes to help local communities support our schools and hospitals. Visit SummitCarbonSolutions.com to learn how this project is driving the future of agriculture in North Dakota.
Live from the PetroServe USA studio, it's the Chris Berg Show, your daily dose of truth to help set you free.
Hi. Good night, everybody. and I do support fracking. I do support. Woo-wee last night. That was entertaining. My phone, I was at the dinner with some friends. My phone just starts blowing up during this Pennsylvania U.S. Senate debate. Everyone's like, this is a disaster. How could Fetterman's wife let him debate Oz? Like, what is going on here? You see all the people on the Democrat side going, why didn't they just use the Biden strategy? He'd be way better off just sitting in a basement. How could you ever put this guy up in front of a stage with Dr. Oz? Like, this was a total hot mess. What if, think about this for a moment. What if everybody's missing the point? You just had a stroke. You know you're struggling. You're doing interviews now where people need to bring in computers so you can actually read what the interviewer's asking you. He had to have a big board up last night so we could actually see the questions behind the people asking the questions so he could actually read them. What if we're missing the point? You got to understand, when you're in a U.S. Senate race, this is one of the most expensive U.S. Senate races ever. People dumping millions and millions of dollars into your campaign. And you and I both know when people are giving money to campaigns, they're not just doing it for charity. This isn't some altruistic, oh, hey, I've got an extra couple million sitting around. Let me just throw it to this. No, there are reasons that people are handing these politicians money. My point, what if he knows he's struggling cognitively? He's having problems, meaning Fetterman. Fetterman knows that, hey, I'm just not the old John Fetterman that I used to be. What if he doesn't really want to win? You can't just bow out of a U.S. Senate race when people have poured millions and millions of dollars into your campaign. You can't just simply get up and be like, yeah, you know what? I'm going through these health challenges. I'm struggling cognitively. I need to sit this one out, especially when it's close and you've got a chance to win, because they know he's just going to be a puppet anyways. But nobody's asking the question. What if Fetterman sits down with his wife and says, look, I can't just walk away from this deal, but what if I do the debate and it's clear I'm not all there, and at least I can, if I lose, can stand up at the microphone election night and go, I did my best. I did my best, walk off into the sunset and do what he needs to do to recover, get himself well mentally, physically, whatever it may be. He's a trust fund child from my understanding anyway. So again, I don't know. I'm not in the internal conversations. To me, it's the only way you can explain when a guy's been winning most of the campaign and you're going to put him up and do this. I'm going to play some clips from last night in case you haven't seen it. But I mean, this is the start of the debate. Like, you walk out on the debate stage, the blood's flowing, you are in a good place, you've done your homework, you're ready to go, and it starts off like this.
Your political experience includes serving as the mayor of Braddock, a small borough near Pittsburgh, and one term as lieutenant governor. You're running for a seat that could decide the balance of power in Washington. What qualifies you to be a U.S. Senator? You have 60 seconds.
Hi, good night, everybody.
I don't mean to laugh because he's going through some serious cognitive issues. So all due respect to that, I get it. I am sorry that he's dealing with that. So I'm not laughing at that, but it's just like, really? And the gentleman that brought up the question said it really, really well. This race, think about the amount of money that pours into Washington, D.C. And this person that's doing a debate, the moderator, simply just said, hey, you could decide who holds the power in Washington, D.C. That is how pivotal of a race this is. That's my point, where he can't just get up one day, hey, we're going to have a press conference and tell people that I'm leaving. That would never fly. So he's got to go out there and do what he did last night and see what the people of Pennsylvania are going to do. If he wins, he's going to be a puppet. But there's a very strong possibility he doesn't win, especially after this last night as well. So he was asked about fracking. I'm going to play this clip for you, and this is just another example.
I must correct the record.
Just a second, Mr. Oz. I do want to clarify something. You're saying tonight that you support fracking, that you've always supported fracking, but there is that 2018 interview that you said, quote, I don't support fracking at all. So how do you square the two?
I do support fracking.
Do you notice the pause? It's because he has to read. There's a big screen behind the moderator. So he's got to read the words of the question for him to process what's going on. I just want to re-presence to this. So there's this pause, and then you can hear his answer.
I do support fracking, and I support fracking, and I stand, and I do support fracking.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.
I mean, anybody with a heart is just, you're watching this and your heart's just bleeding. You're like, boy, and it was proven on my phone. I mean, my phone's blowing up. People are like, this is so painful. What is going on? How could his wife do this to him? How can people put him out on this debate stage? Democrats are furious, going, look, we should have just done the Joe Biden model, the Tim Walz model, and just sat in the debate. The only logical, in my opinion, which I don't know anyone else that's actually said this, but if you think about it just flat out logically, the only logical explanation, in my opinion, is he doesn't really want to win. He doesn't really want to win. And another prime example was back when, I don't know if you remember when Bill O'Reilly was in town, but he did a stand-up show, and he talked about, remember the Romney-Obama race was really, really close. I mean, it was really close. And Bill O'Reilly had the biggest show at the time on Fox News at that time, and millions of viewers. And O'Reilly reached out to both campaigns like, look, I'll give you an entire hour. So I'll give you an hour, like right before the election. I think one was going to be Friday night, one on Monday night, whatever. Romney didn't take it. And Bill O'Reilly's like, how can you not take an hour on the top Fox News show in the entire world at that time when you're razor sharp with Barack Obama and you can win and become the president of the United States? Now, there's a strong possibility that the theory could work with Mitt Romney as well that I'm proposing here with Fetterman, because look what Mitt Romney is doing right now in Utah. I mean, he's backing pretty much a leftist. You got Mike Lee in Utah, done a great job, constitutionalist, super smart, super bright, and Romney's funding the other guy. I'm praying and hoping that many of us are beginning to see through the veneer of this game. This is political theater at its finest. And I'm hoping that we're beginning to realize that what they present, what they say, isn't always what they mean. That might be the nicest way that I can say that. So would love to know your point of view on the Fetterman-Oz debate. My supposition is he doesn't really want to win. That's why he did it. All right, I want to move on to this. Earlier today, actually it was yesterday, the NDSU President David Cook announced that there was going to be budget cuts up at NDSU because of decline in enrollment. Obviously, the article recently in Axios, but for the past 3 years now across the country, there's been decline in enrollment in higher ed. So a couple of things we got to start to ask ourselves. Number one, is the higher ed model broken? I think you could make a pretty strong argument that it is. And secondly, are you still even getting a good ROI on that degree? I mean, you're dumping in some places, 100 plus G over 4 years, and then you're buried in debt. And right now, you're not really finding those kind of jobs that are going to repay that quickly. So is the model broken, and is there still a good ROI on a college degree? I'm going to play for you in a moment a little bit about what President Cook said earlier today. I got to commend him. Number one, coming out and saying, hey, look, there's some challenges. There's going to be some cuts, but also then for him to show up outside of NDSU today, talk to a bunch of reporters, took all the questions, was very patient, was willing to stay there as long as we wanted to. So President Cook, thank you very much for doing that and for being accessible. I don't know what's going on with me right now, but I'm always thinking outside the box. So I've got to propose this to you. I've done this before, but just think about this for a moment. Higher ed model broken. Is there really still a good ROI on a 4-year degree? That's why you look at like North Dakota State College of Science, Train ND. Those places are kicking out kids with no debt, good gigs, good paying jobs. So if we're going to continue with these land-grant universities and all the research, but also let's generate some revenue. Let's make these things start to run like well-oiled machines. Here's a thought. It's just a thought. But think about this. I tweeted this out yesterday. Time to unite NDSU and UND and create NDU, North Dakota U. Have all the sports go major D1. So now you're in the Big 10, Big 12 when it comes to football. We get a big stadium here in Fargo. You're packing that thing full with people coming down from Grand Forks, up from Wapaton, all across the greater area. You got 50, 60,000 in the stands. You're selling beers. You got hotels. Great economic development for the community from that standpoint. Obviously, UND hockey already still Division I. Got a great arena there. So just sort of unites us all to go up to Grand Forks and do our thing there. And my point is now you start to unite the Red River Valley. And I believe because of the resources, and you look at the industries that we focus on, you got ag, UAS, space is up in Grand Forks. There's many, many more. But you could build, I believe, the best state college in the nation. North Dakota U, the best state college in the nation. Just an idea. I know people think that's crazy because you're going to have to somehow tie together, Fighting Hawks and the Bison and blah, blah, blah. I get all that stuff. The point is, what are we doing for the customer? What are we doing for the customer, which is the student athletes? Can we create a better experience for the customer and position North Dakota, because we've all got the workforce issues, position North Dakota as this dominant place with NDU, North Dakota University. John, what say you, my friend?
I think it's a great idea.
So many Bison fans and Fighting Hawks are like, oh my God, they're pulling their hair out. But just look at it from a 30,000-foot point of view. That's all I'm asking. All I'm asking.
I think because they get along so well, NDSU and UND fans, I think it would just be a perfect marriage.
They just love each other. They all hold hands and sing Kumbaya. So I didn't get a chance. I'm not going to get a chance to play much of this for you. But here's a little bit of President Cook from earlier today. Maybe, you know what? I'm not going to play it at the end because we're gonna have Kamala Harris respond to Kamala Harris at the end of the show. It's going to be priceless. It's Wednesday. If you need like a hump day laugh, stay with us because you will definitely enjoy it.
Like declining enrollment is a thing, but like, does any of the improvements, like, could that possibly have anything to do with it at all?
Well, if anything, I think the improvements are a huge benefit to attract students and really faculty and staff and all the rest. So I think that's a real plus for us. I think right now what we're really thinking about is just needing to transform a little bit to think about what our academic portfolio is and what academic programs we're offering and what ones we need to be offering. And for me, it's a little bit of a pivot. It's thinking about where we've been, but really where we need to go and where the state needs us to go. So that's really where my focus is.
So see, I love that he's saying, look, this isn't working. Declining enrollment's been happening now for a little while. We're getting paid off enrollment and the student hours. We need to make some changes. We need to fill the gap and actually meet the need of what the state wants and what the students want from a higher ed standpoint. Very few presidents that I know of in higher ed are having that conversation. So I get, again, to President Cook, I give him kudos. Thanks for being accessible. We'll see what kind of changes he makes. All right, when we come back, very special guest is going to join us. They were in training apparently last night for Cass County voting judge. Everybody knows the challenges and the issues we've talked about with elections and when you go to the polls. She's going to join us and share with us what happened last night. Stick around.
Your farm and business depends on a reliable source for energy. PetroServe USA is the customer-owned co-op committed to being a stable source of fuel for your equipment and propane to dry your grain. We have the capacity to make sure you never run out of fuel and to keep prices stable. Dependability, competitive prices, and exemplary service. That's PetroServe USA, helping America fuel better.
PetroServe USA.
Call today.
Ventilated seats, heated steering wheel, forward collision alert. We got it priced at 42 grand. If you mentioned you heard it today, we would sell it for 41 grand.
And you heard him. You'll save hundreds of dollars if you let him know you heard about it on the flag. Stop in at 721 West Main in Valley City. Call 1-800-401-4352 or online at pucklidgevalleycity.com. North Dakota's home for Chevy.
Thanks. Bye.
I'm Kelly Armstrong, candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
I'm Kirsty Armstrong. I want to talk to you about what kind of man my husband, Congressman Kelly Armstrong, is. Kelly is a lifelong devoted North Dakotan. Family and community service are deeply important to Kelly. As our congressman, Kelly has been a true leader. Kelly leads with his heart, he gets results, and he always strives to do the right thing. What Kelly Armstrong, the man, means to me is what has made him the best representative for North Dakota.
Paid for by Armstrong for Congress.
If you love helping adults with developmental disabilities and want to work in a culture with benefits nobody else can match, apply today at Red River Human Services. Enjoy a $17 per hour starting wage, health insurance benefits at 30 hours per week, quarterly wage adjustments, hourly increases after 90 days, and a possible $750 signing bonus. Apply now for this amazing position at rrhsf.org or call 701-235-0971 and see how great it is to work at Red River Human Services.
If you've had COVID-19 or some strain of it, you've most likely experienced cognitive dysfunction, otherwise known as brain fog. Hi, I'm Dr. Oliver Sirset, and I'm here to tell you that it is real. Brain fog isn't a medical or scientific term. It's a term used by individuals to describe how they feel after COVID. Sluggish, fuzzy, downright exhausted. For some, the brain fog lasts up to 8 months. Sirset has helped others, and we can help you. Sirset, relax, rebalance, reset.
The North Dakota Powerball jackpot is now at $700 million. That's right, more than $500 million. Get your tickets now for tonight's drawing, the North Dakota Lottery. Imagine the possibilities.
Your school can earn up to $10,000 this year. Just save the UPCs from the Country Hearth products your family already enjoys. Learn more at loavesforlearning.com. That's loavesforlearning.com.
Welcome back to the Chris Berg Show, your daily dose of truth to help set you free. What does it mean to be free? We're going to dive into that conversation more and more, especially once we get past the midterm elections. Like, what does it really mean for you to be free? I think we all sort of live in this box, this idea. I would even refer to it sometimes as a thought plantation. I'll explain more later, but how do you get out of it? How do you get out of the box and truly experience freedom? I want to remind you, we're coming to you live from the PetroServe USA studio, helping you and America fuel better. One of the fun things about PetroServe USA is they now have got what's called a Cafe USA, especially in the big, beautiful Harwood stores. You're heading north or south up on the interstate. It's sort of by that Amazon fulfillment center. You can just jump in there right off the exit near Harwood and jump into not only the PetroServe USA to fill up your car, but then go into the Cafe USA and fill up your body. Cafe USA, helping America feel better. So jump in there. They've also got a new shop heading up in Castleton very, very soon as well. PetroServe USA. All right, I'm excited for our next guest because she called into Scott Hannon's show, What's on Your Mind, earlier today and started to get a reaction. And then super producer Chris Larson was like, hey, Jody Plessity just called in. I think we need to get her on the show because she was talking about some training thing and she was just flabbergasted at what happened. So she comes into the studio today. And I'm like, so, okay, what really went? She's like, I don't even know, Chris. That's why I'm so concerned. I don't know what's happening. So since you've had a couple of moments to gather yourself, explain the situation that took place last night and why you're Just like, oh my gosh.
Well, thanks for having me on. Honestly, I got asked to be a voter judge for Cass County, and I was really honored. I thought this is going to be cool. I'm going to learn some stuff I don't know and be an official part of our election process. And we had our training yesterday, and I show up, and the number one concerning thing right away, um, not a single person or judge was ID'd by anybody. So literally, you walked into this training, and you just signed your name down, and nobody checked to see, who are you? Are you who you say you are? And you signed up because you had to register, and they had to know you're coming. So that was a little concerning. So we get into the training, and we didn't really get a bio on the people running it. There's the administrator and then the assistant gal. And to be completely blunt, neither of those should be doing that job. I'm just going to be upfront about it.
So why do you say that?
Well, the lack of knowledge, the lack of experience, the unprofessionalism of the training. I mean, keep in mind, we're there as judges for our election facilities and training and rules and regulations. We're there to learn those things. And half the time, they didn't even know the answers. And there was also a Cass County attorney there as well. And just to give you a couple of examples, Chris, so the ID problem was the biggest concern to
Can
me.
we just back up for 1 second? Like,
Yeah.
explain it. So you're going to be a voting judge. Like, what does that mean exactly? What did you anticipate?
I'm
Or
still
do you
trying to
still
understand
not
that.
know?
So I'm a voting judge where I will be working a voting site. I believe I'm assigned to the Castleton location because I'm District 22. And I will be there on election day, basically just kind of helping and guiding people when they come in to vote. Now, there will be kind of a clerk or initial person that takes the ID and looks it up. And then from there, it spits out the receipt, and then that gets passed on to me, a judge, and I take the person to the voting area, and then they would electronically or manually vote. Okay.
And you hand them like stickers and things to.
Yeah,
I'm
I
kidding.
think
I'm
so.
kidding.
So of course, there's a lot of questions because number one, who is allowed to vote? And this was a conversation that went on for about 15 minutes yesterday, back and forth with all of the people that were there, which there was probably about, I would say, maybe 60 to 70 of us at this particular event.
Wow.
And so keep in mind, we're all there to learn. What are we supposed to be doing? Okay. And the question came up, well, how do we handle students? Like a student that goes to college that might not, have an ID from this state. Okay. So the attorney proceeds to tell us that it's fine as long as they show you, a South Dakota ID, Minnesota ID, whatever. And I had to shake my head, and I actually called them out on it because I said, no, you need to back up a second. Because the number one thing you need is a valid North Dakota driver's license or ID. And then you move on to your address, because the address might not be correct or whatever. And then you provide your, dorm paperwork or showing wherever you live. Okay. It doesn't mean you can provide me a California ID and vote in the state of North Dakota. And I had the attorney say that we could do that. And of course, it kind of erupted into a big discussion because he's wrong, number one. And we actually had people pulling up the Secretary of State's site with information and stuff. And, and I'm going to quote this attorney. He said, the Secretary of State is not the law. And we were all kind of like, don't they interpret the law, that is carried out by the legislative branch and how they write it? So are we not supposed to trust the Secretary of State? So this was number one, or number two, whatever number one.
So did you ever put a button on this, and did he finally acquiesce and say, okay, right, you need a North Dakota ID? I don't know the actual law, but where did you guys end up with this?
No, he didn't, because him and the actual administrator and the assistant were like, well, we really want to make sure we let people vote. That was the comment that was said to us. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. And I argued with him because I'm like, well, wait a minute. This isn't about that. It's about what's required to vote in North Dakota. And if somebody wants to vote on November 8th and you don't have a North Dakota ID, a valid one, you better get to the DMV and you better get one.
And it's supposed to have the correct license, correct address on and everything, right?
Right. So the address is a secondary thing, Chris, where number one, you need to present a valid North Dakota ID. If your address is wrong, that's kind of a secondary supplemental thing we work with, but you can still vote. Okay. So that was a huge issue that was going on that a lot of people had problems with. And no, we never really got 100% clarification from this guy.
Wow.
The second thing that came up was about absentee ballots. Now, there obviously are workers in the room that have worked multiple elections. I'm new at this, so I know nothing, okay? And they said we get a lot of times people will walk in on election day with their absentee ballot because they forgot to mail it in or whatever, it got too late. So the question was asked, what do we do if someone does that? And the administrators and the trainers and the attorney that are here guiding us didn't seem to think that that was a big deal that they're able to bring that in, because a lot of times people I want to look at what I marked and sit down and do their ballot, to mirror that. And one of the random gals spoke up and said, no person can ever be with more than one ballot in a voting facility. Number one, you can't come in with your absentee ballot that you've probably filled out and sit down, and do another ballot and then get up. And I'm not saying, but I'm just saying, where this is going. You can't get up and submit both ballots. So that's a big no-no. The funny thing is they were like, oh, well, all three of them look at each other and they're like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. They probably shouldn't bring that in. We're like, okay, well, glad we cleared that up. Another thing that came up, Chris, is the citizenship issue, which I didn't even know this existed, that you can get a North Dakota ID and not be a citizen. Did you know that?
Yeah, you'd mentioned that off air, but I guess I don't quite track it. So David Chapman, if you're still listening, he's an immigration attorney. We've got, gosh, this goes so fast, like 60 seconds left.
I'm sorry, I talk a lot.
No. So yeah, North Dakota ID that says is like a green card, like, hey, they're here, but they're not necessarily a citizen, or what does it say?
So I don't know. And I raised my hand and I asked the administrator, I said, can you please show us what this looks like? Because I don't know what it looks like and I've never seen one, And they said, no, well, we don't have a copy to show you. So, okay, another question unanswered.
So just for clarity, I'm not a U.S. citizen, obviously not a North Dakota citizen, but I still get a North Dakota ID.
Mm-hmm. And it supposedly says on there something that it's not.
But then so why did that come up yesterday? Does that then allow me to vote even though I'm not a citizen?
Well, so here's the thing, Chris, is that they can present that ID to us at a voting. This is what they told us anyways. They can present that to us, and that if we ask them the questions where are you a citizen or whatnot, because let's step back a second. You can actually have that ID, and let's say you had your status updated where now you are a citizen. In the state law, North Dakota doesn't require you to update that ID. Number one, that's another issue that needs to get fixed. Okay.
I've got literally 10 seconds.
So the person comes in. So basically they told us that we have to go off the person's word and they can do a set aside ballot. So to answer your question, and me as a judge, I cannot question their citizenship. If I do, I'm asked to leave.
Wow.
And I was told that yesterday by the attorney and the two administrators teaching this course.
Cow. Share this interview. We'll be right back.
Been looking for a golf cart for the lake, cabin, or the course? Largest selection of Club Car Onward golf carts within 150 miles is available at All Season Motorsports. 0% financing. That's 0% financing for up to 36 months on 2022 and 23 Club Car golf carts. All inventory must go. Largest selection of club cars at 0% financing. All Season Motorsports off I-94 and Cheyenne Street, West Fargo. Hurry before they're gone.
Your Thursday, but clouds will increase throughout the afternoon. An isolated shower can't be ruled out, but mainly south of I-94 with high temperatures in the mid and upper 50s. We'll have a southwest wind on Thursday, gusting up to 30. Lighter wind, but still breezy for Friday. Mostly sunny with highs in the lower 60s. From the Flag Skywatch Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Justin Storm.
Hi, Lacey here with Precision Concrete Cutters. You've heard our ads about egress windows. They add sunlight, they provide an escape and add value to your home. All true, but I'd like to let you in on a little secret. You can add an egress window anywhere, even if there's no existing window. I know this because at Precision Concrete Cutters, we specialize in egress window installation and replacement. Precision Concrete Cutters, 701-280-7038. That's 280-7038.
Brian Feuder with the NDSCS Apprenticeship Program.
NDSCS's apprenticeship program is really based on the typical apprenticeship models that have been in existence for many years. But currently there are over 1,000 apprenticeable occupations that are recognized by the United States Department of Labor.
Hi, I'm Dixie Bope. I'm the Director of Nursing at Four Seasons Healthcare Center. I encourage other companies to use the NDSCS apprenticeship program. They have a personal relationship with you. They help you out with advertising. They help bringing in new candidates, interviews, getting the word out.
Hi, my name is Pamela Morrow, Project Specialist for NDSCS Apprenticeship. If you're interested in a program, please reach out today by calling 701-231-6927 or go online to ndscs.edu/workforce-affairs and click on the Apprenticeship North Dakota tab.
See if the NDSCS Apprenticeship Program is for you.
John Hoeven betrayed North Dakotans when Hoeven voted for Biden's inflationary Green New Deal infrastructure ripoff. I'm Representative Rick Becker, independent Republican for Senate. Hoeven's vote with Biden was deadly for American oil, gas, and coal, and that's especially important to North Dakotans who drive cars, use electricity, and heat homes. John Hoeven's lost touch. Hoeven was first elected more than 20 years ago, back when Bill Clinton was president. It's time for conservative change. I'm Rick Becker. I approve this ad because Republicans must stand strong to stop Biden's woke, inflationary, open borders agenda from destroying America. John Hoeven's thrown in the towel and sold out to Biden. North Dakota deserves a senator to stop Biden's woke Marxist agenda, fight for freedom, and take our country back. John Hoeven's failed. I'm Representative Rick Becker. I ask for your vote for Senate. RickBecker2022.com. Paid for by Friends of Rick Becker for Senate. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. RickBecker2022.com.
My part-time service in the Army National Guard makes it possible for me to be more for the community I call home. I'm a better neighbor because my service has taught me how important it is to be a team player. My training helps me in my classes when I give attention to detail to the task at hand. My service also allows me to be there for my community in ways others can't. I help my hometown recover after nature strikes. My service in the Army National Guard allows me to keep my country and those I care about safe from threats. I also work with a network of professionals that help me succeed. Also, the Army National Guard's education benefits make getting a higher education a reality. Being an Army National Guard soldier makes living and serving in my community more rewarding every day. Learn more about how you too can live and serve part-time close to home by visiting NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the North Dakota Army National Guard. Aired by the North Dakota Broadcasters Association at this station.
The Chris Berg Show. This is your daily dose of truth to help set you free. Free, even from stress. Think about it for a moment. How many of you right now in your life are dealing with some kind of stress? I mean, unless you're on a beach in Cabo right now, you're dealing with some kind of stress. And we all try to think about, man, how do I get rid of it? How do I manage it? And it seems to be almost impossible at times. That's why today for our Wellness Wednesday, I love this segment because right now wellness is such an integral part of just who we are. So Wellness Wednesday, we've got Dr. Alla. She's the owner and operator of Sarasette of Fargo. Dr. Alla, welcome back to the show. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me again, Chris. Appreciate talking with you.
I thought you were going to say, Chris, I'm stressed.
No, you know what? There are good stressors. Like when you are so hungry because you've been fasting for the last 24 hours, and that's good stress. Okay, giving the body some time and space. But then there hits a point where you're like, I need to eat something. And so, and then what you do is you eat too fast and you feel too much. And then you're like, well, now I have a different level of stress. But that one is neither here nor there. But people think that they can manage stress, Chris, and it makes no sense. I think you should manage your finances. I think you should manage your home. I think you should manage your relationships. I think you should resolve stress.
Wow. So you mean like completely just eradicate stress from our lives, or what are you suggesting?
No, I think I'm suggesting that we stop managing stress and we start having strategies to stress, and we facilitate our, if you will, our knocking down of stress in a different way. Well, we can't do that if we've been in these patterns for a long time. If we respond to stressors the same exact way, it hardwires the brain. And the brain becomes extremely efficient at responding the same exact way over and over and over. And you build what we call plastic loops. These are not good loops because they're energy dependent. They are going to cause you to be compromised in your thinking capacity because you're going to be playing with all of this interference and noise. I think people need to realize that managing stress is not what they need to do. They need to create a plan of attack to resolve stress. And to do so, Searset is the best way to start that process.
So give me a couple examples just on a day-to-day basis. How would I begin to manage my stress differently or create a different relationship to it?
First of all, identify how you feel with respect to specific scenarios. Take your 5 pillars of your life. Think about your work. That's something that you have to do each day, every day. How do you approach your workday? Do you prepare? Do you plan? Do you get yourself ready for success? Or do you have a negative connotation where you feel overwhelmed and you haven't even started your day? Maybe recognizing how your body feels and how your thinking capacity is and how your energy level is to start that process of your workday needs to be something you should reflect on. Because if it's causing you to have a headache to start the day, or you feel anxious, you feel short of breath, you feel pain, maybe you have to step back and say, you know what? I've been in the same pattern over and over again. And this pattern isn't getting me closer to what I'm trying to work so hard for. Another example would be your physical overall, your overall physical wellness. You're waking up stiff and in pain every day. Why is it that you don't alert yourself with that being a signal and an opportunity for you to do something about your physical wellness? You don't have to run to the gym immediately, but you could simply open up your chest cavity by stretching, taking some deep breaths, making sure that you have taken the time to eliminate waste products rather than just always running into what you are making up a lot of times in your own head as being stressful. These are life opportunities. They shouldn't dictate these ailments that we deal with.
Yeah, I agree with you. You went down a certain path. There's a little bit of a pun here that's intended about neuroplasticity. You didn't use that exact language, but you did talk about the plasticity of the brain. Join us right now, Dr. Alla. She's the owner and operator of Searset Fargo, doing some really incredible things for people out there that if you're dealing with stress, maybe it's anxiety, maybe it's depression, you're not getting a good night's sleep, definitely check out Searset of Fargo here on our Wellness Wednesday. So if you can, because I think you're exactly right. We get up, we do the same thing day after day after day. We start to build these patterns in our lives, thus strengthening the neuroplasticity in our brains, and it becomes more and more difficult to change those patterns. So what's the first step to begin to change those patterns, thus change how we interpret stress and live a more free life?
With my experience with Searset, it's just been a complete way of looking at the brain in such a different light, because being able to measure the brain's baseline and understand what's that brain doing right now in real time with respect to my emotional state. You may think you have everything under control, and that's fine and dandy, but your brain may not be interpreting the same information. And the brain is then trying to create these things we call workarounds. Or the brain is releasing this chemical soup into your bloodstream, and those chemicals are creating an inflammatory response. They're creating this flight and fight, state of action because the brain is interpreting what you may think is stressful as a threat. And if you live your life in a threat and you continue to push these chemicals into your veins that are being made by your own thoughts and your own inactivity to resolve things that you feel uncomfortable, you're going to hardwire that brain, not only what we say in the electrical patterns, but you're going to hardwire those chemical release patterns. And now you are at wit's end and you find other ways to try and facilitate that stress response. Maybe you start drinking a little bit too much. Maybe you start using some sort of product that gives you a sense of temporary feel good. Maybe you're taking a prescription medication and trying to facilitate what you call anxiety and think that that's the cause of your demise, or depression as the cause of your demise, rather than sourcing what is at the source of that feeling anxious, feeling sad. And so I think that we need to recognize that our brain wires really quickly and it wires really strongly, but it wires based on what we give it. And that's where we need to change our course of action. So being able to measure the baseline of the brain in real time, which SiriusSet technology does, and understand, are these patterns actually making you successful, or are these patterns starting to make you feel unsuccessful? Low energy, poor sleep, inability to think clearly. Maybe you can't handle relationship stress anymore. Maybe you just are fit to be tied, if you will, and you just want to stop.
And one of the things that I really appreciate about SiriusSet, non-invasive, you basically take a nap for 60 minutes, and yet you walk out with like a version 2.0 of yourself. So I've got about a minute left, Dr. All. If you wanted to share with people, hey, call us. It's a free consultation. Here's how this works.
Give us a buzz. SiriusSet doesn't use drugs, doesn't use surgery, doesn't cause any influence upon you. You get to sit in a comfortable chair when you go through the SiriusSet process, and you get to listen to your brain in real time. In just a short 5-session segment of SiriusSet technology, your brain has the capacity to relax, rebalance, and reset. If you want to learn more, give us a call at SiriusSet in Fargo, 701-566-5231. You can check us out on SiriusSet.com. We're here to help make you understand through the data that we gather, objective data that's yours, whether the SiriusSet process is the next best step in your life.
Relax, rebalance, and reset. I think all of us could use a little bit of that right now after the last 2 years of what's happened across the globe, really. So, Dr. Alla, great stuff as always. Owner, operator, SiriusSet of Fargo, really, really appreciate the time and the insight.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. You guys all have a great day.
Again, give them a call, free consultation, very easy to do, non-invasive. You basically take a nap for an hour, may or may not be the right fit for you, but if you're someone, again, who's just not getting a good night's sleep, you don't feel like yourself, it's simple. You call them at 701-566-5231. Again, 701-566-5231. Thank you for the texts that are coming in. I want to remind you, we've got our new text line, very easy to communicate with the show, 701-203-2260, 701-203-2260. You can text us there 24/7. Of course, you can email us as well, studio@chrisbergshow.com. Thanks you to Red Wing Shoes. If you're someone out there who's working hard in a blue-collar gig and you just need some new custom-made work boots just for you and your feet, do yourself a favor. Go to redwingshoes.com. Again, that's redwingshoes.com. All right, it is hump day. That means it's Wednesday. So when we come back, I'm going to play for you Kamala reacting to Kamala. If you just need like a good Wednesday belly laugh, this is the place to be. So stay with us. Much more coming up right here on The Chris Berg Show.
Unleaded 88 retailers across the state are participating in the 4th annual Pink at the Pump promotion to raise funds for breast cancer awareness. Participating retailers include PetroServe USA locations in Bismarck, Castleton, Fargo, Mandan, Valley City, and West Fargo. Cashwise locations in Bismarck, Fargo, Watford City, West Fargo, and Williston. Valley Dairy in Grand Forks, and Tesoro in Winemere. 3 cents per gallon of unleaded 88 sold in October will go to North Dakota Women's Way. Choose the unleaded 88 nozzle in October to support breast cancer awareness.
Hey, it's Scott Hannon. Our family absolutely loves the full water treatment system we put in our home from Lindsay Echo Water. We live in a flood zone. We have the best ag land in the country. The river floods over, and on that land, the water recedes, and the trace elements of those herbicides go into our water, unless you have a full water treatment system like I do from Lindsay Echo Water Systems. Cooking is way better, too. Same with coffee. Go to lindsayEchoWater.com for details or call 218-233-8655, 218-233-8655.
Food, football, and fun in the fall. Tailgaters brings it all together with their all-you-can-eat lunch buffet from 11 to 2 weekdays or dinner and an ice cold beverage after work. Tailgaters is the place. There's no better place to watch football on Saturday and Sunday. Each game day, get their never-frozen, fresh-made half-pound burgers with fries for just $10.99. Domestic pints and bottles just $3.75. And live music every Friday night at 7. This week, Michael Pink plays at Tailgaters, corner of Main and University, downtown Fargo.
I'm David Chapman. I'm a candidate for judge. For 25 years, I've enjoyed tremendous success in our community, but it is time to give back. I love freedom, our country, and our Constitution. If elected, I will enforce the law as it is written, not as I wish it were written. I invite you to visit Chapman for Judge on Facebook, and I would be honored to serve.
Paid for by David Chapman.
Reveille, wake up, stand up. Let's elevate America. Join me at ndflagpoleguide.com and our patriots in raising America to a level of excellence. Strength through peace and love will be our creed. Let us return to the basics of what has made our country great. Accountability to a creator, ourselves, and those in our lives is vitally important to a civil, free country. I'm Jim, I'm ndflagpoleguide.com, and thank you.
Are you wine curious? Or maybe you're a wine connoisseur. Come join us at Cellar 624 on Friday, October 28th, because you'll have a fun night out and learn about wines from a certified wine specialist. Bring your friends, make it a date night for fun and fine wine at cellar624.com. Seats are limited, so right now, go to cellar624.com and reserve your spot. Cellar624.com, and come join us for fun and fine wine.
Prince here, getting us through hump day as we're coming closer to that 5 p.m. hour. Want to remind you and say thank you. You can email the show 24/7, studio at chrisbergshow.com. Again, studio at chrisbergshow.com. And again, check out redwingshoes.com. They sponsor our studio email inbox. And if you're someone out there, you just need a really nice custom fit pair of work boots or even just great boots. I've got a pair of Red Wing boots, and they are super cozy, fantastic. Check them out, redwingshoes.com. All right, we're going to talk about the border crossings and everything going on down there, but there's just so much happening that we didn't get a chance to get to that today. But remember, the border czar, Kamala Harris. So we're not really going to talk about the numbers, but I do want to give you a chance to hear Kamala Harris today, and then she responds to herself, and it's just fantastic. It's fantastic. This is our vice president. So Vice President of the United States, earlier today, just dropping some knowledge.
Your leadership, Mayor. Thank you for the warm welcome. So here's the thing. Who doesn't love a yellow school bus, right? Can you raise your hand if you love a yellow school bus, right? Because there's something about and most of us, many of us went to school on the yellow school bus, right?
Right.
And it's part of our experience growing up. It's part of
right.
A nostalgia and a memory of your leadership, Mayor.
Okay, so that is real. That is the Vice President of the United States. That is right. School buses, yellow. We love those, right? Here's Kamala Harris responding to herself.
If you wake up, okay, and don't want to smile, if it takes a little while, okay, listen, open your eyes, okay, and look at the day. Okay,
Right?
you gotta look at the day. You do. And listen, you'll see things in a different way. Okay. Listen, full stop. Don't stop thinking about tomorrow. Okay. Don't stop because it'll soon be here. Okay. It'll soon be here. Yeah. It'll be here better than before. Okay. Yesterday's gone. Yesterday's gone. Okay. It's gone. And listen, full stop. It is gone. Yeah. If
I mean, that is just the most priceless impression ever. Now that one was not real. That was like the best impression ever of Kamala Harris. So that was the impression. Full stop. That was the impression. Full stop. This is the real vice president.
Thank you for the warm welcome. So here's the thing. Who doesn't love a yellow school bus, right?
I mean, can you tell the difference? Like, it's just like, who doesn't love a yellow school bus? Because tomorrow is going to be here, right? Full stop, right? Oh, my goodness gracious. The vice president of the United States of America. Normally, I mean, we don't do that because I'm not judging. I'm not judging. I'm just sharing with you what's really happening, John.
You know, sometimes I think if I went to the White House just to take a tour and they said, "Oh, do you want to meet the vice president?" I'd say, "Yeah, sure." I feel like I'd go to like this kind of small, out of the way room, and there'd be like a blue beanbag chair, and she'd just be sitting in there, just completely half baked. I don't know why.
I mean, and she's talked about that. Remember when she talked about how she used to sit around and listen to Tupac or hang out with Tupac? And
Yeah.
anyways, it's priceless to full stop. It's priceless. Full stop. All right, coming up tomorrow. So this is it's shocking to watch what's happening. You see the Fetterman, the Dr. Oz debate. It's pretty clear that Dr. Oz is probably going to win that race. Speaking of the doctor, Dr. Scott Jensen is going to be on Tucker Carlson tonight, so be sure and watch that. He is closing the gap. There's even one poll that Dr. Scott Jensen now is in the lead over Tim Walz. I mean, the momentum is building for the Republican Party, which normally they botch this. There's still 13 days. I'm not getting ahead of myself. A lot can happen, and the momentum seems to be going in the right direction. I bring all this up because tomorrow, Jim Schultz, he's running for the Attorney General of Minnesota. He's going to be in Moorhead, and there is a very strong, very high likelihood that Jim Schultz could be the next Attorney General in the great state of Minnesota. I think it's the first time a Republican could potentially win a statewide race since like 2006. I mean, the numbers are incredible, but he is up in a lot of polls, or at least very, very close. So he'll be in Moorhead tomorrow. In fact, he's going to be live in studio with us at 4:06 tomorrow. Again, that's Jim Schultz, GOP AG candidate, right here in studio. So be sure and join us then. If you've got questions, as always, you can call into the show, 701-271-1100. Again, 701-271-1100. Then tomorrow as well, we've got our Williston Economic Development Update. I got to share with you, it is really incredible what's happening out in Williston. For those of you listening on KTGO, you know a lot better than us out here in the eastern part of the state, but it is incredible, fantastic what is happening in Williston, North Dakota these days. So much about this out-of-state license thing, too. So maybe we'll touch on that, and maybe Jim Schultz even give us a shot, even though he's in Minnesota tomorrow. All right, I love you. Thanks so much for joining us here. This is The Chris Berg Show. We'll see you tomorrow right here at 4 p.m.